It was a routine Friday night misdemeanor contact. 4 people in the car have alcoholic beverages. 2 are female juveniles, 2 adult males. As the officers write citations, one of the males opens fire with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
Police Chief Bill Collender would notify a mother that her police officer daughter was dead. 2 days later, Officer Ruopp's widow would be consoled.
It just breaks my heart that that poor girl just walked into all of that, and she had a bulletproof vest on, and it just didn't do her any good.
We will never know, but perhaps what we sense tonight is exactly what caught Officer Tonahill off guard. Residents of the area know the silent times can be deceiving.
No motive that has been stated to us, and at this time we have no definite reason why they suddenly turned on the officers and shot them.
That's something that, we can't stop it, because it's always people that we don't even know. It's always younger generations growing up, trying to get a name for themselves, and that's how they go about it.
The one officer jumped into the water and took his rifle and poked in there, and that's when, the movement was made, and everybody jumped in on top of him.
Here where the suspect hid, first a shoulder holster and then a handgun are found. Held by police for murder and other charges are Victor Casillas, age 23, of Logan Heights, and 25-year-old Joselito Cinco of Encanto. Doug McAllister, News 8, downtown.
It's hard to describe, but she's a very friendly human being, and Officer Ruopp was exactly the same.
One desire was to help people, and he really had an opportunity to do that in the police force.
He just has a love for people and was willing to give all he can, and he sure did.
In his college thesis, Timothy Ruopp wrote about laying down his life for the ministry. He wrote, "We must lay down our life in the sense of saying no to our ways and yes to God's ways." Lena Nozizwe, News 8, East San Diego.
Sheriff's Deputy Teresa Bennett has been on patrol on her own now for only 6 weeks. She's assigned to Imperial Beach. She thinks the death of Officer Kim Tonahill will affect both men and women officers equally.
I think it'll make all people in law enforcement think twice, male or female, because it is a dangerous occupation. Obviously, we all do it for some personal reason of our own, devastated, but it is part of the job. I want to find out more so that it doesn't happen to me.
Chris Saunders, News 8, Imperial Beach. Tomorrow morning, Kathleen Ruopp and her 4 young children will wake up without a husband and father.
Casillas and Cinco are scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow morning. Lorraine Kimmel, News 8.
People die every day, some violently at the hands of others. But a murdered secretary does not draw to her funeral secretaries from Brawley and Solana County and Oxnard. The slain construction worker is not honored by the presence of construction workers from Los Angeles and Riverside and Huntington Beach. Their deaths would be no less tragic, their loss no less keenly felt than the deaths of 2 police officers. But Timothy Ruopp and Kimberly Tonahill volunteered to be our buffer against the worst society has to offer. And that makes them special, if not in your eyes or mine, at least in the eyes of their fellow officers. Most of these people didn't know Tonahill or Ruopp, but they didn't have to. They came because they know this funeral could have been for them.
This is not the first time that I have eulogized the lives of slain San Diego police officers. Rather than getting easier, it's getting more and more difficult. I am sick at heart. We know who did this. We know who pulled that trigger over and over on Friday night. We know who is responsible, and we demand justice. Tim was an ordained minister, a man with deep religious convictions. He became a police officer because he felt that, given his purpose in life, he could have a more direct impact on people. Her sergeant describes Kimberly's reports as the best she has ever seen. Kimberly was not just accepted by her peers, and respect by the peers is sometimes hard to come by in our business. She was loved by them. 2 very fine people. God, how I wish that they were still here. please do not let us leave this church allowing those two San Diego police officers to have died in vain.
In 1981, after officers Ronald Ebeltoft and Harry Tiffany were gunned down, Police Lieutenant John Morrison penned this eulogy for the department yearbook. He remembered something he'd learned in the military, that there are only 3 rules in war. Rule number 1, young men die, young women too. Rule number 2, you can't change rule number 1. And rule number 3, somebody's got to walk the point. Tonahill and Ruopp walked the point, and they did it so we wouldn't have to. Timothy Ruopp was cremated. Kimberly Tonahill was buried within 25 yards of Ronald Ebeltoft and Harry Tiffany and Kirk Johnson, all killed in the line of duty. Nearby is Julie Cross, the Secret Service agent killed 4 years ago. Dave Cohen, News 8, El Camino Memorial Park.